Medieval India, page number 204, the Middle Strata. There has been a lot of discussion whether during the medieval period India had a middle class or not. The Frenchman Bernier said that in India there was no middle state. A person was either extremely rich or lived miserably. It is, however, not possible to agree with the statement. The word middle class means traders and shopkeepers. India had a large class of rich traders and merchants, some of them being amongst the richest merchants of the world at that time. These merchants also had their own rights based on tradition and protection of life and property, but they did not have the right to administer any of the towns. Such rights had been acquired in the Europe by the merchants in special circumstances. Also, these rights tended to be abridged whenever strong territorial states grew up, as in France and Britain. If by middle state is meant a section whose standard of living was between the rich and the poor, such sections were large in Mughal India. They include the small mansabdars, petty shopkeepers, and a small but important section of master craftsmen. It also included a class of professional hakims, leading musicians and artists, historians, scholars, qazis, theologians, and a large class of petty official or pen publishers who ran the large and growing Mughal administrative apparatus. While the petty officials were generally paid in cash and supplemented their income by means of corruption, many of the others, especially the scholars, religious divines, etc., were granted small tracts of land for maintenance. Such grants were called Maad-e-Maash, Madad-e-Maash in Mughal terminology, of Sashan in Rajasthan. In addition to the Mughal emperor, local rulers and zamindars and even nobles made such grants. Although these grants were to be renewed by every ruler, they often became hereditary in practice. These sections often became part of the rural gentry and link between the village and the town. Writers, historians, and theologians often belong to the same class. The Middle Strata did not form a class, the interests of different sections being different. They were also drawn from various religious groups on castes. Organization of trade and commerce. The Indian trading classes were large in numbers, spread out all over the country, well organized and highly professional. Some specialized in long distance, inter-regional trade, and some in local retail trade. The former were called Seth, Bora, or Modi, while the latter were called Byoparis or Banik. In addition to retailing goods, the Baniks had their own agents in the villages and townships with whose help they purchased food grains and cash crops. There were a special class of traders, the Banjaras, who specialized in carrying bulk goods. The Banjaras used to move long distances, sometimes with thousands of oxen carrying food grains, pulses, ghee, salt, etc. The more expensive goods such as textiles, silks, etc. were laden on camels and mules or in carts, but it was cheaper to move bulk goods through the rivers on boats. Boat traffic on waterways and coastal trade along the seashore was more highly developed than now. The trade in foodstuffs and wide range of textile products were more important components of inter-regional trade during the period. Bengal exported sugar and rice as well as delicate muslin and silk. The coast of Coromandel had become a center for textile production and had a brisk trade with Gujarat, both along the coast and across the Deccan. Gujarat was the entry point of foreign goods. It exported the fine textiles and silks, patola, to North India, with Burhanpur and Agra as the two nodal points of trade. It received food grains and silk from Bengal and also imported pepper from Malabar. North India imported luxury items and also exported indigo and food grains. Lahore was another center of handicrafts production. It was also the distribution center for the luxury products of Kashmir, shawls, carpets, etc. The products of Punjab and Sindh moved down the river Indus. It had close trade links with Kabul and Kandahar on one hand and with Delhi and Agra on the other. It will thus be seen that India's inter-regional trade was not in luxuries alone. The movement of the goods was made possible by a complex network linking wholesalers with merchants down to regional and local levels through agents, gumashtas, and commission agents, dalals. The Dutch and the English traders who came to Gujarat in the 17th century found that the Indian traders to be active and alert. There was a keen competition for inside information, and whenever there was a demand for goods in one part of the country, it was rapidly made good. The movement of goods was also facilitated by the growth of financial system which permitted easy transmission of money from one part of the country to another. This was done through the use of hundis. The hundi was a letter of credit payable after a period of time at a discount. The hundis often included insurance which was charged at a different rates on the basis of value of goods, destination, means of transport, land, river or sea, etc. The sarafs or the sharafs who specialized in changing money also specialized in dealing with hundis. In the process, they also acted as private banks. They kept money in deposit from the nobles and lent it. By means of hundis, they created credit which supplemented the money in circulation. Hence, the merchant could cash his hundi after he had sold his goods at the point of his destination. Movement of money, which was always risky enterprise, could be reduced, especially when the rich traders such as Virji Vora set up agency houses in different parts of India and also in West Asia.